Good afternoon, welcome to Banning IS. We'll discuss computer topics are output devices and memory, right? So let's start. So what is output devices? We have already discussed what are input devices of a computer and other parts of computer, right? So far as input devices are concerned, those parts which are used to give information to the computer, like your mouse, like your keyboard. They are especially your or your light pen, your pen tab, these are, or scanner, these are input devices, right? If we consider output devices, then what are the output devices? They produces result, right? Output devices, they receive information from the CPU. We have already discussed CPU is the brain of computer. It helps in functioning of the computer, right? It is the user undesired from. That means if you are taking a printout, right, you are giving information through by, suppose you are sending a PDF, and that is coming out as a printout, so it gives the result in desired from, that is output devices. So here printer is an output devices. Some of the output devices are monitor, printer, plotter, etc. Let us now how long let us now learn each of them, right? So output devices, it produces a result. We know that there are four basic parts of computer. One is input devices, second is your CPU, third is your memory unit, and four is the output devices. In input devices, they helps in giving receiving information, by which we give information to the computer. Maybe it is a keyboard, maybe it is a scanner, maybe it may be a mobile touch screen also. That's also input devices, right? And there is CPU, that is the brain of the computer. It helps in functioning of the computer. Third is memory. It stores the information, store of data, right? The four is output devices. Today we'll discuss output devices and memory part, right? So so far as output devices, various types of output devices are there. One is monitor. What is monitor? It is your screen, like television screen or the laptop screen or the computer screen, that we call as monitor. It's the output devices. Why it is output devices? Suppose you are giving information to the computer that play this song, right? It will take the song from the memory, and CPU will help in playing the song. But ultimately, or if you visualize the video, then you will see the monitor. So monitor here is the output devices. The monitor is just like a television screen, and it is used to display the data and information. When some data or instruction is is keyed in, the monitor displays the characters being typed. The monitors are available in various sizes. They are available in various sizes. They may also differ in various types of computer. The standard size is 24 lines by 80 characters. Okay, here we will see now the various types of monitors. Earlier we are watching. We have seen the big size TV like computer, TV like monitors, but now it has become very slim. So what is this different type of monitors? They place various characteristics. Suppose you are the printout. Here the PowerPoint presentation. It is the now it is played by the monitor. It is an output devices. Our input was we have inputted by keyboard. Suppose the developer has inputted these characters by keyboards. That is the input devices. But here the PowerPoint presentation is the output devices. So what are the various types of monitors? We'll see there are various types of monitors. One is CRT monitor, cathode ray tube monitor. What is CRT monitor? These are the big size monitor, the older type of monitor. They are rarely being used today. Right? Somewhere you have seen in houses, you will see cathode ray tube monitors. They are very big in size, right? Like the TV. They consume also lot of electricity. Lot of electricity they will consume. They are not energy efficient, right? Here, if you link towards energy, then we are getting shifted. We are making every devices of energy efficiency. See, if you can manage a scar, you can manage a scarcity. Maybe it is energy, maybe it is food by two ways. One by increasing the production of energy, second by increasing the efficiency, right? For example, if we face energy crisis, then because and to counter the energy crisis, we have to produce huge amount of energy. Maybe that from renewable energy or from renewable energy, but or we can do one more thing, that is producing those equipments which are energy efficiency, so energy efficient. So we have changed the fluorescent bulbs with CFL bulbs or LED bulbs. Similarly, we have here in case of computer also, we are changing the cathode ray tube computer to LCD or LED, right? So here TFT LCD monitors the second time. TFT stands for thin film transistor and LCD stands for liquid crystal display. Right, these monitors are lighter and occupy less place. Remember these two terms. One is thin film transistor, and liquid crystal display. These are lighter and occupy less space, and very commonly referred as flat screen display. They are also called as flat screen displays, and they consume much less electricity. That means they are energy efficient as compared to the cathode ray tube monitor. Nowadays, even LED light emitting diode monitors are being used. Light emitting diode in monitors are being used. In this light emitting diode and and your thin film transistor, here we apply transistor, right? Transistors are applied, right? That's why they are very small. And transistor, these are amplified devices, right? One type of amplifying means it will amplify a particular signal, that is the functioning of transistor. And the number of transistors is getting increasing initially, and now in certain type of computers, even 10,000 transistors are getting are used. So especially that's why they are energy efficient, and they are very small and very efficient. So we know that thin film transistor, the liquid crystal display, or light emitting diode, and they are also called as flat screen monitors. So these monitors are output devices. Then what is printer? You must use the printer for taking printouts, right? Printer is a device that produces output on paper. Such an output is known as hard copy, right? And they may be in the form of text or graphics. There are many different types of printers. These printers vary in terms of size, speed, and quality and output. Yes. So especially they are used for taking printout, right? They are used for taking printout, and they produce output on paper. They are also called as hard copy. Hard copy printer, right? You have many times you have taken some certificates or documents like that. Then dot matrix printer. What is matrix? Various type of printer. What are dot matrix printer? We know the types of monitor. Now we are understanding the types of printer. Dot matrix printer. It is a type of monitor that uses print head to print characters on paper. The print head moves back and forth and up and down on the page. The print head writes on inkstock cloth ribbon that laid down on the line against a paper. The characters informed from dots are the printed on the paper. Right. This will move like this. It's like earlier, if you have seen the plotter where the flex are made, this will move like this and the print. That is dot matrix printer. Inkjet printer, they just work by spraying ionized ink on a sheet of paper. Magnetized plates in the ink path, in ink's path that direct the ink into the paper in a desired shape. The inkjet printers are capable of producing better print than the dot matrix printer. So it is the as compared to dot matrix printer, inkjet printer is the better type of printer, right? Next, next is laser printer, which especially we use, and the thermal printer. It works on the principle of photocopier. It utilizes laser beam to produce an image on a drum, and light of the laser alters the electrical charge in the drum wherever it hits. The drum is then rolled through reservoir of toner and picked up by charged portions of the drum. Finally, the toner transfer to the paper through a combination of heat and pressure. That's why if you touch the Xerox, then it will be printouts. You will feel some heat. Also, that is the laser printer that commonly we use. Then thermal printer printers that produce images by pushing electrochemical heated pins against heat sensitive paper. Thermal printers are inexpensive and used for in most calculators and in many fax machines. These thermal printers are used. They produce low quality print. The paper tends to curl and fade after a quick weeks or months. Right? These are thermal printer, especially used in the thermal printer are used in fax machines, and laser printer, which we commonly use as laser printer. They produce heat and they use light. Right? They use laser light, and according to it, they produce the printout, and that is also. And there is dot matrix printer, which earlier exist, very old. It was the oldest printer, and then inkjet printer came, which print by spraying ionized ink. So printer is the output devices which we have already which we discussed here. Next we will see plotter. Right? What is a plotter? Plotter is also a output devices. These are all the output devices. Plotter is a devices that is used to draw charts, graphs, maps, etc. with a two or more automated pens. Multicolor plotters use different color pens to produce multicolored output. Have you ever seen the machine that produces this flex? This very big size flex. If you have ever produced it, ever print out of a flex, that is a very big size. Right? It was very long also. It is almost 10 to 12 feet. They are plotters, right? They produce various flex, right? Flex and maps, like maps or similar thing like things. They are, we call them as plotters. Used to draw charts and graphs and maps, and flex. They are called as plotter. Different type of plotter are available in the market. A drum plotter has a paper wrapped around the moving drum, right? It's like a drum. It's very big. It's like a drum, right? And movement of the machine like this, and it produces the flex. A flatbed plotter is the flat surface on which paper is placed and pens move to draw the output. The electrostatic plotter is negatively charged paper on which drawing is made using a positively charged toner. So this is plotter that produces charts, graphs, maps, which is very big in size, which is expensive than the printer. Yes, it is expensive than the printer, right? And That is called as plotter, right? It is an output devices. Next, the output devices is, we can call the speakers. Speaker is also output devices, especially they produce sound. Whenever you are playing a video or you are playing a song, you directed the CPU to play a song, right? CPU will take the data from the memory, from the format memory, especially from the secondary memory, and then it will play. And they will direct the software to play, and the speakers, and that will produce the output of the song. The speakers are used to produce audio output. The computers have cards and enable computer to produce audio output through the speaker. So especially they are for audio output, right? Video output is done by the monitor. Audio output is done by the speaker. Sound card speaker, nowadays 3D audio technique is giving more depth, right? Now there is stereo sound or 3D audio. The typically 3D and 3D audio is produced by placing a device in a room with stereo speakers. The device dynamically analyzes sound coming from the speakers and sends feedback to the sound system so that it can read just the sound to give the impression that speakers are further apart. 3D audio devices are particularly popular for improving computer audio, where speakers tend to be small and close together. There are a number of 3D audio devices that can be attached to the computer's sound card. So, so we know that speaker is also output devices that produces 3D audio. Where we use some stereo speakers. Stereo speakers are also the output devices. They produce audio output. Then let's study the memory unit, right? So out of the fourth part of fourth main components of the computer, one is I have said one is input devices, second is output devices, third is CPU, and fourth is the monitor. We have already discussed the three. Now we have to discuss the memory unit, which especially stores the data. It also stores, that is, it stores the information in the computer, right? There are two kinds of computer memory. One is primary memory, second is secondary memory, right? So let's learn what is primary memory and what is secondary memory. Primary memory is accessible directly by the central processing unit. RAM is an example of primary memory. You will know more about RAM later in the session. As soon as the computer switches to primary memory, loses its content. Primary memory means, suppose you are typing something in document form. You are typing something and suddenly mobile gets, or the laptop becomes switch off. Or in your memory, on your mobile, you are typing a number to call, but suddenly the mobile becomes switch off. Immediately, you will lose the memory, right? After making the mobile switch on, you cannot find that number unless you have saved it, right? So before saving it, we can see that those characters that is stored in primary memory, right? When we save something, that goes to the secondary memory, and that primary memory is called as RAM, right? Where initially it store the memory, and that is not permanent memory. RAM is called as volatile memory, right? Volatile memory because if the system becomes switched off, it will forget the data. So data need to be stored and retrieved from the secondary memory, which is not volatile. Now, so primary memory loses its contents when computer is switched off. Remember, this is very important. Primary memory loses its contents when computer is switched off. But data can be stored and retrieved in a faster rate with the primary memory. Right? Primary as compared to the secondary memory. For example, secondary memory storage devices are floppy disk, magnetic disk, hard disk, ready pen drive. These are the secondary memory. The secondary memory devices may be invisible or local in the computer. Primary memory is more expensive than the secondary memory, right? Primary memory is built inside the mobile, right? Especially, for example, where we store the we store various applications in primary memory, right? Another thing is primary memory. There is ROM also, right? Let's see in detail. What is the difference between ROM and RAM? Both are different, and you should not be confused. One by one, we'll understand everything. When computer is doing any task, the data may have to be processed and stored in the primary memory. Right? Doing any task, you are typing the characters in a printout for a printout, or typing characters in a document. Then there, it is initially it is getting processed by the primary memory, right? The data may came from an input device like keyboard or from secondary storage like an hard disk. As the program is set to instruction kept in primary memory, the computer is able to follow them instantly. For example, if you book ticket from the railway counter, the computer has to follow some steps like take request, take availability of seats. They are stored in primary memory, right? The print the ticket, they are stored in primary memory. So program containing these steps kept in primary memory of the computer, right? Okay. And those things which are primary memory, computer will not never forget them. Even after being switch off, it will not lost the data. We'll understand that in properly. Just wait. Then read only memory. What is this read only memory? This is another type of memory, primary memory, from which data can be read. You cannot write or modify data once it is written in the ROM. What is that ROM? That is initially fixed in a mobile. For example, the operating system of your mobile, or those memory. For example, how to do what, right? For example, if you are touching the calling button, then it is going to call. So these things are fixed in read only memory, that will never be erased, that can never be erased, right? Even if they are permanent memory, ROM memory is the read only memory is the permanent memory, right? Even after you switch off them the mobile, it doesn't forget. For example, if you have switched your mobile, then again you touch the side button, for example, to make it switch on. Even if the computer is dead, still it is responding and it is getting on. That memory, that information is stored in the read only memory, not in the RAM. So here you don't have to confuse between RAM and ROM. ROM is the permanent memory, it is non volatile memory, but RAM is the volatile memory, right? It can be RAM is the volatile memory. Read-only memory is non-volatile memory. Read-only memory we can also call it the basic input-output system is stored in the ROM. We can say BIOS system is stored in the ROM. That is basic input-output system means that I have already discussed when you switch off the laptop or and switch on the laptop, switch on the laptop, right? A memory is used, that is called as BIOS system. They all are in read-only memory. We cannot change the read-only memory, right? That every laptop or mobile has a particular functioning which which cannot change. That is basically called as read only memory, right? So but RAM is the initially stored memory which we can change initially. For example, as I have said, you are type a particular number to save. Before saving, it is stored in read random access memory. After you save them, they are stored in secondary memory, so there is no need to confuse. Then programmable read only memory. I have already discussed the read only memory cannot be changed, cannot be, it is fixed in a mobile. You know that it is not possible to modify or erase programs in read only memory, but it is possible for you to store the program in a PROM chip. Once the programs are written in, it cannot be changed. Also, the program is not lost even if power is switched off. That is programmable read-only memory that is stored in a PROM chip, right? Even if mobile is switch off, it cannot be changed. You cannot change the PROM memory. Erasable programmable read-only memory. This type of ROM overcomes the problem of PROM, right? Somebody is making, working in robotics, they have to change their system every time for security purposes, and they wanted to erase the read-only memory every day. For example, that's why a new type of memory comes, that is erasable programmable read-only memory. This type of ROM overcomes the problem of PROM and ROM. EEPROM can be programmed time and again by erasing information stored earlier in it. Information stored in any EEPROM can be erased by exposing to ultraviolet light. You have to show to the ultraviolet light for a particular instant of time, for particular time period, and the programmable memory will be erased. This memory can be pre-programmed using special programming facility. Special programming facility. When EEPROM is in use, information can only be read. So by this EEPROM, we can use we can erase the PROM, right? Is the ROM. We can erase the PROM and the ROM, right? This the and we can erase the data by EEPROM. But here the one problem still exists. It takes a lot of time to erase the data. It takes a lot of time to erase the data. I'll take 1 minute break. Okay. Next is electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. The problem with read-only memory, we have already discussed that it will take a lot of time to get erased. That's why we developed electrically erasable programmable read-only memory, right? That we call as EEPROM, and the data in the ROM can be erased immediately. That's why this is the advantage. This type of ROM is somewhat similar to EEPROM. The only difference is that unlike EEPROM, electrical signals are used to erase the contents of EEPROM, erasable programmable readable memory. Electrical signals are used rather than the ultraviolet rays. Also, this type of ROM is not completely erased. Also, this type of ROM is not completely erased. Partial modification of ROM is possible. So this is okay. So here partial modification of ROM is possible. Then we'll see another type of memory, that is cache memory. So here we learn three type of memory. One is ROM, which is the format memory, which is the non-volatile memory, and that is fixed in our mobile or laptop, which we cannot change. That is ROM. Then we and that is EEPROM, that is used in a chip. That is EEPROM, programmable chip, EEPROM. And then we studied erasable read-only memory (EEPROM), where we used ultraviolet ray to erase the data or information, but it took a lot of time. Then we developed another type of memory, that is electrically erasable programmable readable memory, that is EEPROM. Right? In case of EEPROM, we used electrical signal to erase the memory of ROM. Then we will study cache memory. What is this cache memory? This is the speed of CPU is extremely high compared to the access time of main memory. The speed of CPU is extremely high. CPU is the brain of computer, is extremely high as compared to the time of main memory. Therefore, the performance of CPU decreases due to the slow speed of main memory. Right? The CPU is the speed of CPU is extremely high as compared to access time of main memory. Therefore, performance of CPU decreases due to the slow speed of main memory. To increase the performance of CPU, a small memory is attached to between CPU and main memory, whose access time is very close to the processing speed of CPU. Yet this memory is called as cache memory. Cache memory are accessed faster than the conventional. Fast memories are accessed much faster than the conventional RAM. It is used to store programs It is used to store programs or data currently being executed or data that is being frequently used by the CPU. Fast access of these data and instructions increase the overall execution speed of the software. It is very expensive memory and has to be used in limited amount. So here what you will learn, that cache memory is linked with the CPU, right? Why? Because the CPU speed is extremely high and main memory processing speed is lower than the cache memory. Right. So to increase the performance of CPU, if you want to increase the performance of CPU, a small memory chip is used to the CPU, and that we call as cache memory. So it is very close to the process CPU, right? And this is called a cache memory, and the access faster than the conventional RAM. That we have a problem regarding accessing the main memory because it is of slow speed. So that problem it gets solved by the cache memory. So those store programs or data currently. For example, there is a password, there is a particular bookmark, there is a password. All these things, or those things which are immediately it is required to get access. Those things are saved in the cache memory. Remember, cache memory is of high cost as compared to other memories, and its size is very less. It is around less than 10 kb. It is very less size. Size is very less, but it is attached to the CPU. So 3 and 4 points. First thing, it is get attached to the CPU. So second thing is that it increase the speed. It increase the processing speed, right? And then third is it is of high cost. It is of high cost, and it facilitates faster access of the data. That is cache memory. Cache memory is also known as CPU memory. It is either integrated directly to the CPU chip or placed separately from the motherboard. As a microprocessor processes data, it is fast looks as cache memory. If the required data or instructions are found there, it is not to have spent more time in reading data from the other storage devices that have slower access time. Hence, processing speed increases. right? So two things we learn here. That is, it is known as CPU memory. It is either integrated directly with the CPU chip or placed separately from the motherboard. Right? The required data are found here, so it do not have to spend more time in reading the data. It is the responsibility of the CPU. It is the CPU cache memory, so there will not no time will be spent in reading the data. So the processing time reduces, right? So processing speed increases. That's why processing time reduces. So that is the functioning of CPU memory. Then what is secondary memory? You know that operating speed of primary memory and primary memory should be as fast as possible to cope up with the CPU speed. Right? They are very speed. Primary memory is of high speed, and by using cache memory, we increase the speed of main memory. These high speed storage devices are very expensive. Hence, the cost per bit of storage is also very high. Right? Again, sorry. Hello. Right. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. So secondary memory. Now we are studying secondary memory. As primary memory is very high cost, so we need a secondary memory to storage the data. But fact is that it is very it is time taking to get access the data from secondary memory is time taking, right? Often it is necessary to store hundreds of millions of bytes of data in the CPU to process. Therefore, additional memory is required in all computer system. The memory is called as auxiliary memory or secondary memory storage. And whatever stored in secondary memory that stores that's getting stored gets stored for a long time, right? It will not die. For example, as I have said, if I've written if I've I'm dialed and if I've just typed a number and you have not saved, then it do not go to the secondary memory. When you save a particular number, that goes to the secondary memory and stored in the memory. That is secondary memory, and the program to secondary memory is cheap and it takes time to get the access of secondary memory, and it is secure as well, right? That is, the memory is not lost even if the computer is switched off. In this type of memory, cost per bit storage is low. However, operating speed is slower than that of the primary memory. Huge volume of data are stored in the permanent basis and transferred to the primary storage as when required. Widely used secondary memory are hard disks, CDs, DVDs, pen drives. But before learning about the modern storage devices, let's also have to look at some primitive storage devices like magnetic tapes and floppy disks and magnetic drums. These are the earlier memory devices, storage devices like magnetic tapes and magnetic drums and floppy disks. So today we have discussed, so this is up to today. We have discussed various parts. First, we have discussed output devices. Output devices are those devices which produces a result out of the information. For example, we want to derive a printout. A printer is provides the output devices. We have various types of output devices. One is printer, right? That produces printout or hard copies of a PDF, or that is the it produces the characters or the graphics on a piece of paper, that is printer, right? Then next is plotter. We have studied plotter. Plotter is the it is one type version of printer, and that produce huge size of I mean printer like flex or maps or designs. That is the responsibility of plotter, and plotter is of high cost than the printer. Then we studied something called as monitor, right? Monitor produce the visual output. We see some things, for example, a particular video, and the CPU directed from the memory to play. Suppose by taking the memory data from the memory, suppose CPU plays a video, we see the output in the monitor screen. Monitor screen. Monitor is like the TV or the screen of the laptop, right? That is the monitor. Monitor are various types. For example, there are CRT monitor, cathode ray tube monitor. Cathode ray tube, I have already said, they are big size monitor that were earlier used in various computers, right? Like the TV. Then we came to know, after cathode ray tube monitor, we came to know that your LCD monitor light, liquid crystal display monitor, and LED monitor, that is your liquid that is and also they use especially the transistors, right? And TFT LCD monitors, that is thin film transistor, they are very slim monitors, and with light emitting diode, that is LED monitors, that are extremely slim, right? Then we know the printer, that dot matrix printer, that are the earlier used printer, and inkjet printer that sprays ionized ink, and third is a laser printer, they use laser light, right? Electrical charge is used. Then thermal printer, the printer use images by pushing electrically heated pins against special heat sensitive paper. Laser printer also produce in the products of in the output of laser printer, we also see some temperature also, right? Then we have discussed a plotter. Then speaker, it produces the output devices so far as the voice audio output is concerned, right? It is generally the stereo speakers are the stereo speakers are the output devices which produce audio output. Then we studied memory unit that store the data. We studied primary memory, that is it is directly accessible by the CPU. Primary memory is very speed. Primary memory is highly high cost. It is called as RAM. RAM is random access memory, right? Random access memory data, it is RAM, yes. And there are also, these are called as primary memory, right? Primary RAM is stored inside the mobile, right? They store the basic functions. For example, if you are downloading an application, then it is especially generally it is stored in the RAM is, it belongs to primary memory, and primary memory is expensive than the secondary memory. Then if you consider ROM, then read-only memory. Then ROM is a read-only memory. Read-only memory, ROM is a, for example, if you are typing, I have said you are typing in phone number, then it is initially it's stored in the RAM. Then when you save it, that goes to secondary memory, right? In the primary memory, there is another thing that is called as ROM, or that is ROM, that is read-only memory. And in ROM is, it is the fixed memory that you cannot change. It is a high cost, and it is fixed in a mobile, right? Then and in some cases it become essential to delete the initial memory, that is the ROM memory. That's why we brought new type of memory, and that is programmable, that is PROM, or programmable read-only memory. And after that we need to erase it. That's why we need to erase the data because of certain purposes. That's why we need new type of PROM, that is erasable programmable read-only memory, which use ultraviolet light to erase the data, right? It is time taking. That's why we need a new type of ROM, that is EEPROM, that is electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. EEPROM, right? It uses electrical signals to delete the data, but however, it cannot completely delete the data. To many extent, it deletes the data. That is EEPROM. And then cache memory attached to CPU. It increases the speed of the processing speed, because CPU speed is very high, memory secondary memory speed is very low. So it creates the processing speed, and initial the processing data are stored in CPU, like for example bookmarks or initial information that is required for opening of a software, that are stored in cache memory. Cache memory is of very high cost, right? As compared to the memory, its size is very low, less than 10 KB. Then secondary memory. Secondary memory is those memory which is basically stored in memory card or pen drive or hard disk. These are secondary memory, and it is very cheap as compared to the primary memory or cache memory. Huge amount of data is stored in secondary memory, but one fact is that it takes time to get access to the secondary memory, right? In primary memory, you can get easily you can get access to data. For example, in railway, the informations are the railway platform, railway website, the informations are stored in the primary memory, so that any the user can find them very easily. So these are the all type of outputs and your memory that are stored, that we have already discussed of computer. In next class we will discuss software and other things. For today, this much is completed. Thank you.